And I said to the angels, I want my water back. You know, first you give it to me and now you take it away. I really want to use the water and I can't get it anymore. And you know, I felt like Hagar in the wilderness when Abraham says, here, take this bottle of water and go die in the wilderness. So I was like, now what am I going to do? And that night, I got ready for bed. And as I walked into the bed, I was going to sit down. And as I sat down on the bed, suddenly I was standing in this room. And there were 3 men in front of it, at a desk in front of me. And I recognized the one in the middle. And I said, well, hello, Octavian. And he said, it's time to return and report. I didn't realize it was that kind of an assignment. And I thought about all the things that had happened during those years, those year and a half, and I thought, is there anything that I can incriminate myself with? I have to be real careful here. So I said, finally, I didn't want to incriminate myself if I couldn't remember something. So I said, I refuse to report. And he said, do you have the file? I said, okay, and I gave him a file. I didn't know where the file came from, but I handed him this great big thick file, and he handed it to someone else and said, would you review this and give us the report, please? So the next thing I knew, I was sitting down on my bed again, and thought, wow. Okay, so a couple of days later I had a dream, and in this dream I was walking through a courthouse. And have you ever watched those cartoons where you see the kids fighting, or the people fighting, and the walls are going whoom, whoom, and swelling? I was walking through this courthouse, and as I passed this room, all the walls are doing this. And I said to the bailiff, wow, something's really going on in there. He said, they're reviewing the file. Oh my gosh, I am out of here. So I said, well, don't tell me what the results are, but tell someone else. Because I don't want the information coming back through my filter. I want it to go through someone else. And in the mouth of 2 or more witnesses, the truth has to be established, so you'll have to tell 2 people. So I left the courthouse. Well, the next day, my daughter comes to me and she says, Mom, I had the weirdest dream last night. I said, let me tell you. She said, I dreamed that we were standing on Calvin's porch, and that we put the microscope and the water machine in the back of his truck. Only you had the keys to his truck. And then we took the keys and we got in the truck and we drove away and left him standing on the porch. Now, let me tell you what that means. You interpret dreams. Keys are responsibility and authority. Cars, vehicles are your way to go. The water machine and the microscope were the things that we had done there at his house, because Leia's a live cell microscopist now. It was my microscope. When I left, I took the microscope. I wouldn't let him take that. What it did was it gave us keys and responsibility and authority over what? Calvin's way to go, which was what? The microscope and the water machine. So now I didn't have just the privilege of having a water machine for myself. I had a responsibility and an authority over that machine. And I thought, in the mouth of 2 or more witnesses, I won't take just one. No. And so the next thing I know, my son's coming over and says, Mom, I had the weirdest dream last night. So he had almost the same dream. And I knew then I had to build the machine. So I said, okay, Vernon, we're going to build the machine. It took us 6 months to build it. In the process of building it, you have to build this certain kind of battery. You have to make the liquid that goes in the battery. You can't just buy a battery and put in it. And the battery liquid has to be made out of an ash, and it's a complicated procedure. You have to burn the ash 3 times. You have to burn the wood that makes the ash 3 times. And if you take it to the 4th burn, you create a rhodium and iridium, an organic rhodium and iridium that turns purple in water, and it gives you all kinds of subconscious connections. When you take it, the conscious and the subconscious interact so closely that you can't tell whether you're thinking, whether it's subconscious or conscious. And your subconscious is in contact with the whole universe. So suddenly your consciousness expands so incredibly that you can't cope. So we don't sell that product because it's too dangerous. We've decided if you get it, you just take little bits periodically as your consciousness opens up. So, but you have to burn the ash 3 times, and then you put it through this incredible reactor, and putting it through this reactor vessel we blew a hole right through our roof, right through the 2x4s with this thing when it blew up on us once. So these processes aren't easy to make this stuff. And you have to make it, but when you take this old ugly brown gray ash and you put it in the distilled water and you put it through the reactor, it turns out this brilliant gold color. I mean, it's the goldest gold I've ever seen, and it's beautiful. So that's what runs the machine, is this battery made out of that liquid.
Ash from a tree, or what kind of ash?
We make it out of a tree that grows on a volcanic range. I think it's blue spruce or something like that. A spruce of something. Anyway, so now we had the machine and we had the water, and I was happy again. And I had the gold, so I was just thrilled. And I gave it to my friends, and I gave it to people that wanted it. And I sold a little here and there. And we had our regular jobs, and we were happy with our lives. And one day the angels came knocking again, and they said, "You have to tell somebody." I said, "Who? I live on a mountain. I don't know anybody. Go away." I said, "You have to tell somebody." So I got an email from a friend in Texas, and he was talking about joining a Yahoo group. So I thought, okay, I can join a Yahoo group. So I got on this site, listen to this one, Mystical Wonders, okay? And I emailed them and told them about the water, and somebody emailed me from the site and said, "You're on the wrong site. You need to be on Barry Carter's Subtle Energies site. Go learn about Ormus." So I went to the Ormus site and contacted Barry Carter. Now listen to what happens. So, Mystical Wonders had been in operation for 2 months. That's all when I joined it. They kicked me off their site after that email because they said I was too light-minded. Too light-minded. I was too frivolous and too silly to be on their site. They closed a week later. Now, why did Mystical Wonders even open? And what were they there for? Well, they got me to Ormus, and they got me to Barry Carter. So here I am. I emailed Barry Carter, and I told him what I had. And he called me on the telephone, and he said, "Do you know what you have?" And I said, "Well, sort of, not really, but I have water that's really neat." He said, "I've got to see this. I have to see it." So eventually, about a month later, I drove to Oregon and took him the water. And he tried it, and he tried the gold, and he said, "You have to share this with the world. You can't keep it for you." And I said, "Well, I'm not a businessman. I have no way to produce this for the world." And he said, "Well, I'm going to start telling people, so you better start making it." So he kind of catapulted me into this situation.